7th Redevelopment Commission meeting. Can we do a roll call?
Dale Needleman.
Here.
Pete Murphy.
Here.
Alex Jordan.
Here.
Ruth Hess.
Here.
Larry Longman.
Here.
Greg Brewer.
Here.
Shannon Walls.
Here.
Okay, we could jump right into the elections of the 2025 officers. I always forget how to do this.
Be a nomination.
It's nominations from the floor.
Yep. Forgot about this. First
You
meeting.
can do it as a slate, or you can do it one by one, whatever you guys want to do.
Anybody want?
I say do it by slate.
You want to retain?
I don't have an issue with being it.
Does anybody want to be the president?
Yeah,
The only
that's a-
people
that's
is
the real
these
question.
five.
I know,
You
but I'm
guys.
looking at
We
her.
got Rita.
President, I guess, has maybe a little bigger role signing documents. Anybody wants to do it?
Yeah, typically
I'll continue.
signing the documents from the meeting, the minutes and everything, and then bond issues, typically is the president's secretary. If the president's not available, the vice president.
So I'll make a motion to retain the officers from 2024 on the 2025 slate.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right.
Easy enough. Next,
See how
we
easy
get
it is when we work together?
the approval of all the way back in November meeting minutes.
I read them. I move to approve the minutes as written.
Love it.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I saw nothing in your minutes about a mouse interrupting.
I do. The trauma that it caused me.
Thought about it, I thought better, by the way, I'll get on that, mission accomplished.
So on Christmas Day, not even was stirring a mouse?
Mouse wasn't
And Shannon got out of therapy.
I have to ask
Shannon
one question
wanted it as
before
a
we
pet,
get
I thought.
going too much. Did everyone drink tonight or something? Because it's never been this lively at a meeting. I'm just when you have nobody here. Just asking.
No, we just had to drink after the meeting.
Nobody's watching online.
All this audience to entertain.
Don't put that.
All right, financial report. We don't have a link. We
We
don't
do
have.
not have it because, for two reasons. One's our ongoing county drama.
Oh gosh.
Which I'll give you a quick update on this though. So I think we finally have the right parcels in the right allocation areas. I can't tell you how many times I'd submit them and they get back to me wrong. But
Sorry,
I
Sounds about
don't
right.
understand.
you need to have a motion
Motion on
to
the
approve the
minutes.
minutes and a vote. You didn't have a
Just
vote.
a minute, sorry.
We
No,
did.
we did
We
that.
did.
We
Oh, yeah,
did.
we
You
did.
did?
Very
For
good.
minutes?
Did you vote?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it passed 5-0.
yeah.
Wow.
Larry did it, I seconded.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. That's my fault.
That's
Pay
right.
attention.
And then the other is this year-end closeout of the financials, so they're trying to get the books closed out for the year. So we received our draws in this mid-December, our Form 22 draws. We put the money in the accounts, but we're not confident the right money went in the right accounts, which was true for the one bond that Rebar's supposed to pay, the gap. They still had the wrong parcel allocated to that, so then we had to go back and track down what the payment was and correct it manually. So we are currently walking through every single allocation area to put the right money in the right account, which is why you don't have your financial report tonight. That hopefully gets corrected by the next draw in June, now that we have the allocations right. That being said, I also haven't seen the spreadsheet. We typically look at every single parcel to make sure the base didn't change dramatically, so we red flag bases if they change. We red flag if we don't think something was assessed properly, if we thought we were gonna get more money from something or less. So we haven't seen any of the data behind our draw. And so, we've asked for that from the county and have not gotten it. So we're fine on money, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we do resolution 010725, but we don't feel confident that the numbers are correct at this point.
So what's Shelby doing with his bond payment? Just in suspense or?
No, so that, we luckily that one only encompasses 2 parcels.
Okay.
So unfortunately, the way the county has it mixed up, they have, for whatever reason, they have what is Jeff Clark's parcel allocated to that. So
Mhm.
that one should be in Broadway, Aurora Way, and we found out the tax payment of what we received for the 2 parcels, which are the 2 apartment buildings. And then the bond payment, less what we received for those is what they owe us.
Mm.
And so we've already sent that invoice for the gap, which is pretty significant this time.
I bet.
So that one was easy. It's some of the others that aren't. I'm not too worried about Brookside. I'm not too worried about Cityscape. Nothing's going on there, so it's 0. They keep messing up the 600 North allocation area. They keep messing up our larger Broadway and Broadway. So I think we're getting close, but it's been quite the journey. And doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be this hard. 600 North has been 9 parcels since they established it a year ago. So I don't understand why you report back and there's 23 parcels.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Wow.
make sense to me and how we've got to that point. So it's got to be whatever program they're using
Mhm.
is messing something up. And we just can't do that. I think we're close.
Okay. Next we have old business and the patch development update.
So, not much has happened just because of the holiday. That being said, and this goes a little bit to something in new business, we're gonna have our bond attorney, Dennis Otten, finish up the project agreement and start the bond process. So we should have the project agreement done and the initial bond documents ready for February 4th.
Okay.
And at the same time, we're waiting on them to file, to start Ryan's processes on the development side. So we want to get those moving at the same time so that they can be ready to build first part of the year. Because they do have tenants that are anxious to get started. So there's going to be a little coordination of infrastructure and building projects happening at the same time, which is a good thing.
Cool.
Let me stop you real quick. Do we need to
Yeah.
do something about
Oh,
these?
yeah, sorry, I should mention that for the election there. You have your just annual oath, you're an annual appointment, so we do an oath of office every year. If you can read it, sign it, and then we will notarize it for you. It's mostly just to have on file.
Okay.
I need a new one already.
Okay, now we've got some new business. Looks like we have a resolution to get some property.
So, I think, did we talk about this in November briefly? Or did we mostly just?
Which
Looks like a new
property
one.
is it?
Looks like
I was gonna say,
I haven't
feel
seen
like
this parcel
we talked
pop
about
up
it
before.
on the south side of
I think
Broadway.
we
but-
talked about it in the projects, but I think we were also fighting a mouse at that time.
Yeah.
So we want to talk a little bit about why we're looking at this parcel, what we would use it for, and then also kind of encompass into other options if the RDC chooses not to move forward with this one, of other things we can do. Because again, we only have so much money, we set aside what our bond payments are going to be, and we're able to tackle projects beyond that. So this is Depot. Thank you. I kept putting form if anyone knows. It's section Depot Street and Broadway, and this parcel in the corner is a vacant parcel. It's for sale. The person that owns it is this salon right here. So what interested in us in it is we have a bigger vision of the Broadway, redevelopment Broadway. I'm going to let Ryan talk a little bit about beautification of Broadway, making it more pedestrian friendly, adding sidewalks, lighting, all that fun stuff over time. Since this one came up for sale, our intent there, it's really with setbacks and everything else, you can't do a lot on here, which is a little weird. We had Mark kind of do a concept drawing. Essentially, we make it into public parking lot. That's all we do there. It's about all you can do there. Your other options with setbacks and everything on this corner are maybe like a 7 brew coffee or something really relatively small. Otherwise, you can't count with parking setbacks, construction, all that other stuff. So there's not a lot you can do with the parcel. We would like to see, there's parking restraints in this area with, second stories has no parking, these guys have very little parking in this lot. Up until December 31st, there was always parking issues with the brewery. And, tracks still in this area. We want to make this more walkable area. We want to create kind of a zone here. So we're okay with it. It's not a real exciting project by any means. Like, nobody's saying, oh, that's really awesome. But we think to set the tone of what we want redevelopment to do, and with the limited options of what you could actually get here, we're probably the right group to do a redevelopment in this spot. So I'm gonna let Ryan talk a little bit better than I just did about why we even take a look at this project, and we'll talk about the appraisal.
Well, I think Tim really kind of nailed it on the head. This is an area that we'd like to see some revitalization in along Broadway, and I'll talk a little bit more about the streetscape. Hold on, not quite yet. We want to go through this area and kind of revitalize Broadway in a long-term plan as to more of a kind of a historic Main Street looks to it. But there are a few businesses in town that lack some what I would call adequate parking. So this is one of 2 or 3 or 4 parcels in this area that we've looked at over the years as potentially being able to add some public parking. As Tim said, the lot size is about, I think it's like 0.6 of an acre.
A little less than that.
A little less than that, and it's got 2 frontages, so it becomes challenging to redevelop it into much of anything, as Tim said. So now you go to that, I'll go back to the agenda.
Oh. Maybe.
The agenda, you were on it.
I'll go a long route.
Yep. So we had a consultant prepare this. I think it's been like a year now, and this scale's a little hard to see, but yeah, as he kind of scrolls along. Long-term goal for Broadway. Today, what you all have, we have like 4 lanes of asphalt, and then it just kind of meanders into a hodgepodge mess of gravel and parking lots, right? And so we'd like to, begin to set a tone for this area, have actual curb, put in some street trees, sidewalks, street lighting, and create an actual kind of main street. We think it would help revitalize the area. Our public investment and our public infrastructure would hopefully spur on private investment in the area and redevelop of some of these properties to higher and better uses. And in doing that, I think public parking becomes important in the area. If the example I used with somebody we talked one day was Zionsville's little village. You're not going to get a perfect scenario when you have many of these lots were literally created in the 1800s when horse and buggy was the primary transportation mode. So we have tiny lots. We have situations where you're not going to get today's modern design standards on everything. But to the extent that we can dress up the street facade and include some public parking and a few pockets here and there, because many of these businesses are not going to be able to have their own adequate parking long term, we think makes sense. So that's kind of our pitch for it. This location allows us to do 2 things. It allows us to add the public parking. It also allows us to begin that streetscape revitalization. We would take this one piece, we would install a sidewalk, we would install some landscaping, we would install some street lighting, and kind of use it as a test case for what the rest of the corridor could look like as we go by. I'll summarize with this. So we looked at, could the town do this type of streetscape revitalization years, like a decade ago? And the problem that we ran into was NDOT bought the right-of-way for State Road 67 in like the 1940s. They didn't bother to record them until the 1970s. And
Great example, like right through here.
yeah, so you've got travel lanes that, according to this, are part of someone's property, which is a whole nother issue.
What basically happens, the court threw out the right-of-ways, said you waited too long.
So the town coming through in one big project and doing these streetscape enhancements are probably not feasible for us. I mean, 1, it would be very expensive, and 2, we're spending local money on an NDOT road. But what we think we can do is do it in bits and pieces, whether it's town acquiring property like this and doing it, or whether it's as projects and properties come forward to redevelop, getting them to meet our design intent, and kind of do it in bits and pieces. So this would kind of be one of the first, or maybe the first test case for it. We'd acquire it, we would do our streetscape improvements, and we would add this public parking to it. And then as folks come through with their own redevelopment projects, we have them do the same thing from a streetscape perspective. We would also work on, and we are working on incorporating this into the comprehensive plan update. That should get through its process later this year. And then as we adopt a new zoning ordinance later this year, probably end of year, we'll make sure that we have standards in place that would require these things. That's
Right.
the concept.
Quick question. I could see this being used for overflow parking for the community center.
If we could safely get them across.
Yeah.
Well, that was my next question. Have you guys put any thought into where you could put a crosswalk of some sort there to get them from, it would,
Yep.
you have an overflow, somebody rents this out for a wedding reception or whatever, that could be a good area for extra parking versus getting complaints from people in Old Town, why everybody's parking on their side street and all that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
We had the same thought. We have not put in a lot of thought into where the best spot to cross is at, but we came to the same conclusion that this would be a good overflow.
Well, I guess my question is, if you do that, is this the right time to maybe put a little bit of money in some sidewalk / infrastructure just in that little area to get crosswalks in?
It could be, yeah. It could be, and I think there's an opportunity that we may have some friendly property owners in this area that might help us with that. I think the church, I would hope, is a friendly landowner. And certainly we have a relationship with GTs, which is in the area, that hopefully we can use them as well to kind of, if Tim goes a tad bit west, yep, that whole lot there that used to be Salisbury Gardens, GTs owns all that. We've had some preliminary discussions with them about dedicating some easement that would allow us to go in and do some of these enhancements. So it's not progressed far yet. I think it would be good for the town to do a project on its own first, kind of show that we can do it, we deliver it, we know what it's going to look like, and then begin working with some of those friendly property owners to do the same thing.
And to Greg's point, if we're investing here, and I'll get to the finance part of this in a minute because it's a pretty hefty price tag. We're also investing heavily at the community center up in here. Another potential spot we want to eyeball is this lot right here. Problem is, it's not for sale right now. It went for sale about a year ago, and we were like 5th in line. So this one's probably not realistic right now, but it's definitely really high on our radar. Something that Redevelopment Commission should be knocking on the door and staying in front of, because this ties into our community center. It allows us to have good signage for it. It doesn't give us a lot parking wise, to be honest. It adds a couple spots, but it does the same thing that this lot would do over here, which is set the corner, set the tone for redevelopment. Because even this area, there's a lot of activity right here. The justices own all this. The liquor store is looking at possibly doing something different. Robert Olson's constantly pitching ideas here. So if we're trying really hard to get everyone here to kind of work together for a master plan, where we can get a big chunk in there and then set the corner for a community center here as well. So we're trying to work in this area to just clean it up. This one just happens to be the one with the for sale sign on it, so it's the lowest hanging fruit of something we had been eyeballing, to be frank.
So time-wise, how long do you think to do this whole streetscape that you have, like years?
Yeah.
2, 10,
Decade.
20? Okay, and then if you have sidewalks and you have all this, and it's gonna be more walkable, are we gonna reduce the speed limit dramatically?
That's NDOT.
I don't know what it is right now.
I know, but I mean, you
It's
can't be
whatever
zipping by
you
at
can
40,
go.
No, I know.
35 if you've got
I
time
think,
telling
I
people.
think you can make the argument or petition to them that we've made this more of a walkable downtown and we want that reduced.
Yeah, I think it's also good to have a discussion about. I mean, we also have roads like Mount Comfort Road that we're not planning to reduce the speed along it. We're going to have trails along it as well. So I think it's about how you install that pedestrian infrastructure. So Yeah, if you put a sidewalk around the back of curb, it is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable to walk down this street. We do not want to do that, except for a few cases where maybe there's parking in the way. For the vast majority of this stretch, where possible, you want that grass strip to be in between, street lights to be in between, have a real curb and gutter that has a chair back curb on it. Because you're right in that people will not walk if they don't feel comfortable. They will not do it. It's a waste of money.
Right.
So you've got to make them feel comfortable. How do we do that? It's about separating the pedestrian from the roadway lanes.
So,
Just think of how we do that.
so my question is, the part I don't understand is, okay, that piece is for sale, I get it, you want to improve that and show what it could be. But how do you ensure that you get the other adjoining parcels to get you that space to do it? So I guess my thought is, if you never get access to those other parcels, you've got one little piece that's got a nice curb and a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how it just ends up, that,
I mean, I guess it could, yeah.
It depends how aggressive your community gets. We're not typically a very aggressive community as of today, so it just depends.
so to me, it seems, not knowing anything about the finances, it seems going to the south side of the street where you've got some people supporting possibly doing it, but the one piece wasn't for sale. I think it's the car lot.
Yeah,
Yep.
the car lot, but we've also talked about this lot right here, which is the old burned down.
Burned down.
But if you have a better chance of adjoining a bunch, are we better off going to that side of the street and finishing off that side first?
I don't know. I mean, I think you don't know until you go and talk to all of them. Like the one right next to the one that we're talking about.
Right.
That's Roger Hare. He's a friendly developer. In fact, I think he even agreed to give us easement in the future if we needed it for a sidewalk. I have to go back and double check
Can you
those
ever
records.
can we ever take easement? Can there ever be a time where we just
Can.
go and say you have to give it up?
Well, yeah, you can. Yes, you can, but that's a council thing.
Right.
And you got a couple members in the council who are very anti-eminent domain.
Okay.
I think you have the votes to do a legitimate road project if we need right of way for like a roundabout or something.
Right.
I don't think you have 3 votes of the council right now to just do something like this.
See, I have no idea how much money you're talking about, but I guess it makes me sick to think you're going to spend a bunch of money, end up with 175-foot frontage that has a nice sidewalk and a curb, and then that's it.
Well,
Just a fancy parking
And
lot.
just one fancy parking lot.
Right, that only certain people are
but the
going to
thing,
use.
I think the one thing you guys, when these developers come to us as a council, part of our economic development agreement can be listed. If you're going to redevelop this parcel or go there, you will have to put this in. You will have to put the sidewalk in. You will have to put the curb in. But I think what Ryan's point is, we just don't have the money from a town to do a full-blown project.
Sure.
It's going to be piecemeal. And the other thing too, I think, is some of these buildings or parcels get, purchased. I kind of go back and look at the Kinsey building, where Kinsey's at. That could be there for another 5, 10, 15 years, I don't know. But somebody's eventually going to buy that, and that's when they come to us and say, we want to put something different there. Well, that's when you get the staff involved, and here's how we want it to look. This is what we want to put in, that kind of thing. I do agree with Tim, and he's approached me about it a couple times. I don't know what else goes in there.
Sure.
And the thing about with Scarlet Lane leaving, if another brewery comes in and says, we're going to take this over and we're going to put the infrastructure in, I could see that becoming, I wouldn't say an entertainment district, but more of a walking area with some of the other development off of Railroad Street down the road. So now you've got some more accessible parking that people can use for those other businesses.
Greg, I was going to ask Ryan this question, is on the north side, as you come from Culver's going west, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just narrows and narrows and narrows, right? I mean, gets to a certain point.
Yeah.
What kind of development can you actually do in there? I mean, it seems like it's not a deep property.
They're not deep, yeah.
So I like the idea of having some parking there. If somebody's going to come into Scarlet Lane and we can use that and we can get what's across the street, get something redeveloped in there, I get it. But I can't envision what can go in that little strip of land. That's all I'm having trouble with.
We've talked
I think you
about
gotta
the
combine
long-term redevelopment of this area, and to your point, it's acquiring the various parts. So another one that we're eyeball with Culver's here, we want to line up this road and expand this basically alley. To do that, we have to take some of this property or try to purchase some of this property, possibly even this house. So you start to make larger parcels here. This is another one that's on our radar of, hey, if we don't do this one, this might be another one we knock on the guy's house and see if he'd sell because we need to line this road up and expand it. But in theory, you're coupling these parcels. So there's a creek right here which causes problems. So this parcel and this parcel now creates you a buildable lot, about an acre. You can put something like Culver's there. And then you get across the creek and you start looking here, these two together could do a buildable lot. And then you have excess parking for the district. Or you could even decide not to do parking at that point. You could tie that in as part of the parcel too. This one's pretty established. This one was a house that got picked up by GTs because they knocked on the door and they got it real cheap. I think it's this one or is it this one?
It's that one, yeah.
So, because our original intent was we were going to extend the road, we were going to try to see if we could extend this road down along, basically extend South Railroad Street down to Depot.
Says GT owns both of them.
Yeah. And they got them cheap. I wish I would have knocked on the door. So you're not going to do anything on the single parcel, you're going to have to combine and over time create new parcels.
Yeah, you've got to add width to make them developable, so you're gonna, but they can be done if they're done partnering 2 or 3 together.
This creek actually goes right here. You just killed our South Railroad Street because there's no way to get around the creek. But you can still do that redevelopment. We still need to talk to this person if we're ever going to straighten out this road here as well. These are just older parcels divided up and just made sense. Now it doesn't make sense.
Apparently you need to go do it before GT does. They're gonna take that one too.
So this is on our radar. You know, if we decide this isn't worth the money, this one's still on our radar. And I haven't been aggressive on this parcel here because
It's really small.
there's nothing you can do with that either. So it's not even, he doesn't have a for sale sign on it and no one's knocking on the door. So that one's just one that we basically put sidewalks on and probably have a little pocket park because there's not much else you can do there. This is one that we would like to acquire to be part of the community center. So I mean, there's other opportunities up and down Broadway. We've talked in the past about this one. This one could actually be done through a different route because I've already seen money possibly, but you know, Stanley owns this corner. We're putting a traffic light here eventually. We'd love to get rid of this stretch and bend that traffic light right here. And cut through here, we need this triangle parcel. Stanley wants to sell it, we want to buy it. So we don't need a triangle, but this chunk of it. So that's something on our radar as well. So there's other opportunities. This is just the one that's before us at the right time.
It's the centrally located one too, and I think going back to Greg's point, we do kind of see this area as being a little hub of activity. Granted, it did take a hit with Scarlet Lane leaving. That was kind of one of the drivers for that area. But, you know, hopefully something else goes in there. We do think it's an area that makes some sense to have some pedestrian infrastructure, some parking.
And if you really want to go long-term, it's our goal to have Depot Street, get up to 800. And so this becomes another cut-through road as well. So you're at the corner of that. Whether that adds some parkland or some other kind of development someday down the road, who knows? But we'd like to see Depot Street get all the way down to Broadway.
Yeah.
So there's bigger plans. To Bruce's point, they're not tomorrow plans. They're long-term planning.
So how much does it cost?
So throw some numbers at it.
Yeah, so let's go back to the agenda, if I can figure out which one it is.
Go back where you're at.
So when I first called, so our process, just so you all know, is state law is we can't offer more than the average of 2 appraisals. So which costs you about $2,500, $300. Because I used 2 new appraisals this time, which I like both. They're both about $2,400.
Except one of them thinks you're Tim Crop,
Well,
not Grop.
you know. I go by.
Yeah. I've been in that room when he's been called worse.
Mr. Crop.
So the resolution is actually the average of two appraisals. You can actually offer less. So what I like to do is call either the broker or the owner and have a realistic talk, because it's gonna cost me, well, it's gonna cost the RDC, not me. We still gotta do a survey, depending on the site, if I feel like needs to, if phase one environmental. You're in this 7 to 10 grand to even be able to buy property. So if they're going in a rush to sell it, or they have a bunch of people knocking on the door, they don't want to wait the couple months it takes us, I'm not going to waste the money. So I called him up. He said the guy's offering it for like $700,000. I said, well, that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. Thank you. Have a nice day. And then he's like, well, but that's just the initial offer. I think he'd come down. I told him what we were planning on doing with it, and part of his thing is he wants to dedicate parking. And so not only are we buying it, we're still maintaining parking for it. So he wants like 60.
This doesn't make sense.
That being said, so while he owns, so the agreement would be something like, while he owns this salon, we'll dedicate this, whatever spots we can get towards that salon. Not ideal, but that's a condition if we want to do it. So
The problem is
he
with-
bought this for about 110.
Yeah.
I said he came down from 700 to 475, and it's like, I can't buy that and build a parking lot and all this improvements. Like, it's a very, really, really expensive parking lot. So then he's like, well, I said, we're probably in the mid 2s to low 3s. He came back, talked to his client, said, we're probably gonna end up in the upper 3s. And I was like, that's on the verge of where I'd be uncomfortable. Let's get the appraisals and see where we're at, start there. The two appraisals did exactly what two appraisals sometimes do. They were way off from each other. So I have one that is, and I looked through it a little bit, I have one that was I can't see that.
That's the 255.
255.
255. And so it basically said, this is your per acre cost, and he deducted it to the size of the parcel. That made sense to me. That's not an outrageous number per acre. We've started diving into both of them, looking at comps. So we're looking at Culver's, we're looking at Qdoba, the dentist office. We're looking at our own comp, by the way.
That's what he says. For a half acre.
So the other one didn't.
Me too.
So the other one just said, based on the comps in the area, it's
470.
But the problem is those comps are over by Broadway,
Well, they're
McCord
all
Square.
They're on
Yeah.
Broadway, on Main Corridor.
Right. This is not that same style.
It's a tough argument against it. So they're on the Main Corridor, on a corner.
Anybody that buys this and wants to develop, it's going to be subjected to those same setbacks. So I can't really
Well-
see what they can put on there.
Correct. So the average of those two appraisals ends up being 362.5. So upper 3s of all things, right, where he went that list. So here's where I get what does the RDC want to do? We can, if we want to buy it, we can offer that. We have to offer that number. I'm not sure that if they come back with a counter, we would want to go any higher than that, to be frank.
Why do we have to offer that number? You said we could
You
offer
could
less.
offer less than the
Yeah.
average of two appraisals.
Yeah.
It's all
Can't offer
public
more.
documents, so he's going to ask you why you didn't.
Because we don't think we like one appraisal better than the other.
So here's ways this could play out. You could offer them, you could not offer it. You could say it's just too much, we're not gonna come to terms. You could offer the average two appraisals. You can offer less than the average two appraisals, so just make an amendment to the resolution. I'll correct it and send it with an offer letter. It does have to include the six spots reserved for the 30 or 10 year.
Tim.
I think that's worth $130,000 then, and we offer him 225 and he gets his 6 spots.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on.
Where we have all our
All right,
funds.
so I know the guy who owns it, he's called me directly. He
is he
wants
doing
to sell, he actually wants to sell it to the, but he doesn't want to sell it dirt cheap. So he's,
He bought it for 110.
yeah, I know, he knows that, but I think, it's, so I don't think he's getting a lot of traction on that property. So I think would he be a willing seller on the first offer? Probably not, but I would say about after 5 or 6 months, holding on to it and not getting it, I think he wants to get rid of it, really. His wife owns that salon, the salon place right there. They're using the side for parking. They had a war with their neighbor, the antique shop, because the antique shops.
They have 0 parking.
Yeah, they have 0 parking, so they were using his lot. So I think I don't know. But I think,
This makes us peacekeeper a little bit.
Yeah.
For all those areas.
and the other thing is too, as Tim said, yeah, I think he's coming to the realization that as a town, with the setbacks and everything, it's really just an undevelopable parcel.
That's what I would say.
But my question for you, Tim, was how much this would come out of the what's your TIF?
This would come out of the Broadway Aurora TIF. So you have,
How much you have in
in
there right now?
ballpark numbers, you have somewhere around $700,000 in there. You have a bond payment of about $138,000. So you have plenty of money to buy this property.
So I guess the question I would ask you guys is, if this isn't a parcel that you want at this time, and what is your priority as a commission in this area? Where would you want to spend the money that you do have?
On the south side,
And to
that
give
car
you that
dealership and
great
expand the
thought,
community
is
center.
We could do an offer on this and just say we're not, like, give me a max what you want to do. If you go below the average 2 appraisals, tell me if you counters with something, I'd have to bring it back to you guys anyways.
Mhm.
But we can also just walk away and say, hey, it's still in the market in 6 months.
Can revisit it, put a pin in it.
This isn't one I'm bringing to you saying, buy this now.
Right.
It's not the blue
Right.
house last year.
Right.
They said we could buy, which we paid $340,000 for.
And it's vacant land.
We had to do
To have it knocked down.
That one needed to be
Right.
done, we had to get it out of the way. That one I was looking at you saying.
Wish I would've
"You
bought
do
real
this,
estate
that
out
one's
here
too much
20
money."
years ago.
This one I'm not.
Is Trax relocating?
Yeah.
To be determined, they've been looking at a new site, but with Scarlet Lane going out, we haven't talked to them about what they're planning. So-
Was Scarlet Lane a surprise?
Yes and no.
Because I thought they had fought with Trax and Trax was leaving and that was supposed to solve all that.
There were, there's that, as she stated in her statement, she's been having ongoing health problems. They closed all their other branches. She wasn't getting better.
Got it.
That was a factor. Another factor is economics. You used to be able to do a craft beer for $4, and now it's $70, and people aren't, that's a lot of money for a beer.
Mhm.
So that was becoming more difficult. And then when they added the pizza oven, they triggered the need for the sprinkler system investment, which was several hundreds of thousands of dollars needed. So all those factors combined kind of led to it. I would say it happened quicker than anticipated.
All right, so go back, thank you. Go back to the question. If I was just, I'm looking at this the first time, I think the south side of the street makes a lot more sense by the community center. However, that being said, why not do both? Can you make this guy an offer of, $250,000 and put it out there and pursue the south side, and whichever happens first, that's where you go?
Wipe out.
I like your idea, Dale.
Yeah, and then see which one goes first. He gets hungry after a few months, you might get it. He doesn't get hungry, you get something on the south side.
We could offer the lower of the 2 appraisals.
Can you offer below the appraisal?
You can offer whatever you want.
250.
No, 250, I'm sorry, that's right,
I
250.
would say, yeah, at least you back.
I mean, he doubles his money,
If you offer him 225, he's doubling his money.
and he gets his
And
parking
he
spots.
gets his parking spots. That's $25,000 for the parking spots. You can justify that, saying, we would have given you 250, we're only gonna give you 225, you get your 6 parking spots.
Well,
And he
Look at
doubles
our
his
parking
money. If he
spots
doesn't
again.
wanna do it, then we wait and do the south
See,
side.
I like that, and then pursue both.
Yeah, wait,
That's how we'll pay.
you have
People love that.
plenty of money right now. What we
Thinking
don't
big.
have is money allocated to build the parking lot right
Sure.
now.
Right.
That's okay, we can say we're gonna do that in a year.
Right,
Keep
sure.
Parking there as it is today, and we'll allocate money in next year's budget.
Yeah.
Monopoly. Hasn't
Six
the car
guys
lot
with meters.
sold multiple
like we're
times over
paying
the
him.
last several
Remember-
years?
Well,
anyways?
Exactly.
Like, I don't-
That's why this
I don't-
sucks.
And
Yeah.
maintenance.
Last time she actually sold it.
Okay.
And so it's a
I
new
don't think
Well,
handicap.
the parking is the
I probably just-
the differential in what the appraisals are.
Right. He visited in 4 months.
The thing is, it's gonna be, you would be benefiting.
Tim, I think one thing we
Masters
gotta
of
keep in
AR.
mind is
He
our
wants them
lowball
guaranteed.
offer is still doubling his money.
I agree.
And better than
you're
any offer
committing
he's
to
got.
I get
the
that. It's
spots
just-
and-
Yep.
I have heartburn saying yes.
And the worst case
Yours
scenario
is
is
guaranteed
it says no.
spots.
And we say.
You don't retract the offer, you just let, yeah, that's fine, but we don't officially retract it, right?
Yeah. Down the road, we can change the
I like that.
And if he comes back to review this, I'll bring it back to the courtesy.
In the studios.
Yeah.
I like that.
So you want a motion?
Wait, what dollar amount are we at?
225.
You wanna do 225 or you wanna do the low appraisal?
I say you do the
No.
225
Yeah.
plus the 6 spots.
I like Pete's justification.
Yeah,
You know,
I
he's
do
getting-
too.
We're paying him for the lot and giving him parking
Parking
spots.
meters.
Yeah, and Ruth wants them metered.
I want some parking meters. Need our money back.
Although the
Take
parking
27
spots-
years to pay for those.
Although the parking spots are only good as long as he has the salon there.
Ah,
Yeah.
good
right.
call,
Yeah.
Pete. Nice.
Good call.
Dedicated spot, he can still park there. It's all park. But it's not gonna be
Dedicated.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't go with the building.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Is he dead set on 6?
But he actually went 7, I still
Oh.
think
I think 4.
He said 6 or 7.
We're thinking 4.
I was gonna say, it seems like we're handing him money and parking
Yeah.
spots, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that parking lot's
I-
gonna be another 300
Just-
plus thousand.
Just send him this video from tonight of us discussing.
Right.
Yeah, right. He
I'm just
might
gonna
go
get my
off.
friends calling
That is the entire problem with
Right.
us buying property.
I'll just
Yeah.
double off from 200 down.
I will
So
send
to you guys
you
for
the appraisal
225, and it
with
just
our
made
offer.
10% of
Yeah.
it.
I've been wondering why
Right, and
I
then
don't do that.
I don't know.
I feel like we're still doing him a favor
We're bound to
with what we're
We have
offering.
a horrible negotiation.
The
I
numbers
should ask that one off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're indifferent whether or not he
And I
wants
would
to sell
say
it
this
to
is
us.
not one where I'm sitting here saying,
Right.
We don't want to be that way.
is it nice?
And we
Do we
can't
wanna
really
do it? Yes.
I want to do it for the streetscape. I want to
Well,
try to
But I don't
strike
think we
that,
kill ourselves.
but I don't want to go too crazy on it either.
well, there's a reason why Roger is not buying it too. He's looking at these setbacks. He's like, I can't do much with this. I mean, otherwise he would have bought it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you don't
He's
have-
the,
well-
he's the most logical buyer for this lot if it's not
He doesn't
us.
want it.
Is he not?
Well, and the other thing is too, you look at the little, by the church parking, I'm surprised they never tried to buy that, and add to their parking. Now, that's gonna be something that's just, like Tim said, either it's pocket park, or you close it off to Broadway and tree it
I don't know
up.
what's in this alley, but you're right, we could even work with them to expand their lot a little bit, because we're trying to work with them to add community center parking right here.
And, you know, I noticed a couple days ago, if you move to the south, there's a gentleman, keep coming right there on 750, go to your west a little bit. That-
It's right.
They got like 100, they're selling a lot, a vacant lot for 140,000.
Right.
No, it's over a little bit more to the east. Yeah, that one's for 140,000.
There you go, Pete. Get that now so you can sell it for 220.
I think I'm gonna do that there. I'm gonna find out if that's against the rules.
The trailer, right, that's a
I might go buy that.
$140,000 lot right now. What they're asking. So, you know, Pete, what I think is happening, Pete, everybody, I think that what's happening is people are starting, oh, Culver's going in, oh, here's this. So now the Old Town area,
Some interest.
people are raising their prices. They're saying, okay,
I can get more.
I can get more, and, you know.
The people in Fishers did that right up until the time that the town just took the property
Yeah.
off of 116th Street. They priced themselves out of it.
So,
The original people who knew what they were doing.
I will.
So it's resolution, and then you go back
What was it called?
to
Short walk?
25 plus six
Corporation.
spots that we offer.
Okay, so do we have to read the resolution?
No.
Okay, so I move that we approve resolution number 010725 amended as follows. Purchase price to be $225,000. And conditions would be that 6 parking spots are reserved for the seller in perpetuity as long as he owns the salon or that entity owns the salon.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I'll
Okay,
let you know what happens.
good luck.
We won't be surprised.
Could you BCC us on these emails?
That one's gonna be a phone call.
Oh, all right.
Might want to deliver some notes.
All right, next we've got the 2025 project review and discussion.
Well, we talked about a lot of them right away.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's, you know, a lot of this is property acquisition this year on the Broadway redevelopment in this area. That said, I want to talk a little bit about McCordsville. So the town is designing the connection Civic Drive to Town Center, which is becoming more and more needed for a couple of reasons. One, as we keep progressing on the 750 roundabout, where we're going to need to restrict that intersection, the police are going to need that cut through. Colonnade is probably one of our, the townhome portion is selling slower than a lot of our others. Some of that is just because it's kind of buried back in there, but also that connection to Town Center, we think would really help that development. So we're doing that design. There's a chance we come back and we figure out what that is and ask for a little bit of help on that construction side. We're not there yet. That'd be later in the year, if not 2026. But I want to get that built sooner than later. That connection is becoming important. That said, we just found out we received a Ready to grant in the amount of $2.64 million for phase 1 of building out the Central Green. So that sounds like a lot of money, and that sounds really impressive.
Not gonna go
Unfortunately,
very
a lot of that
far.
money ends up being infrastructure and water lines and sewer and storm and all the stuff you need to support the park. So we're gonna balance that out. I'm gonna work with Mark, see if we have stormwater money to offset some of that, put in some local match, so that a lot of that grant money can be the fun stuff that people actually see. We're not gonna be able to build the whole park, but we're gonna do a lot of the hardscape, we're gonna do a lot of the grading to get it functioned where it's going to be, and then over the next couple of years, we can add on the amenities and all the fun stuff. But we're really excited about that, so there's, you know, depending on how that goes and how we pull all the pieces together, that's something else we might come back and say, hey, RZ, would you mind helping us with this a little bit? So when we open that first phase, it's a little more than just very much infrastructure. It's not fun. So
Tim, does that,
we-
sorry, quick question for you. Does that continue straight vertical up to the other side of the U?
It will. Right
Okay.
now, we're not talking, we're talking about just doing this connection.
Yep.
And then kind of creating the intersection to go up.
Okay.
That being said, this parcel has the stormwater, not to get too detailed, there's a stormwater pipe that we oversized that goes in between the police and this last parcel here.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to go up here to grab that. That's something that I'm talking, we typically wait for a developer to do that.
Mm-hmm.
However, in this case, it's one I might say, Mark, can we use stormwater money to get that done? Because it's really hard to set an edge of a park without knowing where the edge of the park, where the sidewalk and the curb gutter is. So this little chunk of road might become more necessary to build earlier than later. This is still kind of up in the air what's happening here. We've heard things and had conversations, but we don't know when that's going to go. So some of this might be us taking a leap and getting it done sooner than we normally would through the development process. We run into an issue here because this property line is tower and they're not part of the development right now. So we can only really build up to like there. So it won't connect at the intersection unless tower miraculously comes in and dedicates us the right way we need, or we take the right way we need. But we can get most of it done.
Come back to it.
So, was that probably too detailed for you?
Liked it, thank you.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, Broadway, rural way, that's kind of be our focus, property acquisition on Broadway, some of these little infill type projects. And that's probably the money you're gonna have at this point. Your cash flow, and you can pay for your bonds, everything's fine, you guys aren't struggling, but you're also not bringing in county type tip dollars, $4 million per tip. The Brookside HRH, we all know what we're doing with that one right now, which is, the intersection is under design, and we're hoping to bid, actually first quarter bid, and then, construction, and hopefully have that done in the summer, as quick as we can, to be honest. We're excited for that one. Because life just comes at you fast, there has been some activity in this area, which might trigger the new, we own this parcel. The idea was roundabout, this the light, probably roundabout here. It might end up being 2 lights for a little while if that development comes, just because of funding. We'll see what happens. We've had that story happen many times. We've actually landed, but your money and your progress here is at that intersection. And then to the south, the 600 north, as we've talked about, we'll be working on the patch development right here. And so you kind of have a project going in the south, in the center, and in the north quadrant. So you've got stuff kind of scattered throughout the communities here, which is really nice. Really nice. So, outside of that, that's kind of the funding you have. The patch and the traffic light were already kind of set in place. There's not really a lot of, here's other stuff we can do. We don't have any more letting that. The most flexible you have is the center part. So we are getting a few things. Is it Advanced Auto or AutoZone is building.
They're building.
Here, this project, it's a storage project. Might be starting someday.
So say we approved that when I was on council.
Culver's obviously opens. Taco Bell should be breaking ground. Culver's is here. Taco Bell's here. The only reason I'm bringing those projects up are those are ones that are going to get assessed and start bringing money into your TIF district. So, all positives that have been accounted.
Positives. Have you been reading Facebook?
Well, unless you're on social media, there's worse things.
What's being developed just south of
Calls
Leo's?
not being received.
So,
Taco
good
Bell.
question.
I went there the other day. I was surprised at how easy it was to get in and out. It's quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Ryan talk about this one.
Yeah, so what you're seeing right now is the infrastructure going in for that. I think it's about a 7-acre site. Initially, he's starting kind of in the middle of it, and he's putting in a multi-tenant strip center. He's going to have 3 tenants to start out with, a credit union, of which the name escapes me, a coffee shop, which the name also escapes me, and then an office user, which I don't think we're allowed to talk about yet, but I'll just say it's an office user that's already in town. So,
What's
Already in
that?
town.
He doesn't remember its name.
What?
yeah, the office user.
It's 9-star.
They already know. The people who are, it's been announced as the location in our other county, and they all knew about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So the employees know about it.
Okay.
So who is it?
BMV.
Yeah.
So not exciting users, but probably pretty stable users.
There's a lot kind of right here. I mean,
I'd rather have that than
the strip center's kind of in the middle, and there's another lot right here.
Away from
Yeah, the lot to the north will be, it's a smaller lot. It's going to be some sort of fast food type of lot or user.
Okay.
The one to the south is a bigger lot. He's searching for like a 10,000 square foot user. I don't know what that's going to be. That's a bigger user for that type of location, so we'll probably be patient on that one, I suspect.
Okay. Thank you.
Top dollar rent.
They've been eyeing that spot for a
Those are
while.
beneficial to Brookside.
Yes.
Whether or not they got a lot,
Yeah.
because there's
Okay.
traffic
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it is
Any other
pricey.
questions right now?
It's no padded shoe.
I have a generic question. So I have and it might be a bad word, I don't know, but I've got a friend who does development at Goodwill. And he's told me a number of times he's looking for a place in McCordsville.
We've had multiple conversations and sit downs with Goodwill. you know, we're balanced, we're not opposed to Goodwill, they just keep picking prime spots where we didn't necessarily want it. Goodwill.
Sure.
There's a lot for
Like
sale
right
at
here,
Depot
like if you
Street.
went right here, we only have so many opportunities in our TIF to collect TIF. Goodwill doesn't provide anything to the TIF because they're tax exempt. A lot of communities will actually restrict tax exempt
Right.
groups from being in TIF districts.
Sure.
So we don't really want them here now because Goodwill, because it adversely affects our business.
We've probably given Goodwill 7 or 8 sites, which we think are good sites for them.
That's being.
We're hopeful they can land one of them.
They're looking, they will end up here
it's-
someplace.
it's-
I didn't realize
We
Grace was
just
in
haven't
separate.
landed on
Two story
it.
building.
I was just curious how that worked.
When's Little Pete's gonna be open?
Great question.
Need it.
Yeah, we have a meeting with Rebar on Thursday that, well, I will find you an answer. Because, yeah, it's kind of just sat there for a
Right.
while, and I'm not sure why. I had heard that we were getting blamed a little bit because of liquor license. So, not to get, again, not to get too deep, this area, our riverfront district,
Yes.
with our river,
Yep.
has about 15
Hey,
liquor
really flowing.
licenses that we can.
It's RDC.
We hadn't done one yet, but look, Pete wants one because
Yes,
they
we
do
did.
Moses and stuff.
I was like, what does
And then
Very,
the
very
users
quick
here
window
that,
of legislation.
the restaurant users
We
do
seized it.
online. We have a process in place, we've been working with our ABC attorney, we just have to issue, actually Greg, it's Greg's fault. He's got to issue the letter.
So
Give
then
me the letter, I'll sign it right now.
once we have McCord all done and we're gonna have entertainment and music and stuff, are we gonna have that, I don't know what it's called, but they have it in
Dora.
Noblesville?
Dora, yeah, absolutely.
Right,
Oh my
where you can
gosh.
just have the alcohol? and
Carry your
stuff?
Yeah,
beer.
where you get a band and
Yeah.
a special cup and you
Yeah,
can
are we
walk.
gonna do that?
We absolutely want to do a Dora here. There's no sense to do one until we have some of those in place, because you actually have to list the entities that are participating in it. So
And it would be nice to have
instead of making
Sidewalks instead of them walking on the street.
Walk on down Broadway.
it- So, yeah, we will do a Dora.
We can't change the speed limit either, so
Our-
go ahead and
our
go.
riverfront liquor district is in
You
place.
think Culver's causing a problem? Imagine a bunch of drunks walking around our streets at 40 miles an
Is
hour.
everybody still speeding at 40?
I've had 2 friends address me or bring to my attention that they have hit the divider that goes into Culver's.
It's,
They said it's very difficult to
it's
see
terrible.
at
You
night.
can't, you cannot see
Is
it
there
at
any way
night.
that to highlight that, like in?
This
We
is
brought
the-
that up to
So Public Works just talked about this at the 4:30.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Everything you guys bring up,
Sure.
it's been discussed, trust
Yeah.
me.
Sure, no, it's
Well, I-
valid concerns. We brought them up with NDOT before Christmas, just not too long after it was installed. I had a meeting with NDOT and we talked about it. They are monitoring the situation and are looking at it. They know the delineators have already been hit and half of them are knocked down already.
Right.
As to when they'll fix that, I don't know, but
Yeah.
we've expressed some concern. They're watching it. I don't know that we can do much else right now, other than continue to express concern with them,
We,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Problem is, somebody hits that at a high rate of speed, because it's got a little
gotta get a
ramp
flip.
at the front of it,
Yep,
and
it's bad news.
So,
it's not a
They're gonna
good,
flip.
not a good thing.
so
Lose an
We're
axle.
not going that fast going to the intersection.
NDOT's, we've,
Depends how bad you want Culver's.
correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but we've asked NDOT if they even paint the first part of it yellow.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Highlight it.
They're saying that because it's not,
So.
You've not crossed the double
You have not
yellow.
crossed
It's the double
yellow
line.
So it's a white, just like it's the white.
that's why they say it has to be white.
So you cross
There's
the
not
double
even a
line.
reflector on it, though, that you can see it. There's not, and I drive it every night, and you can't see it.
Yeah, because
So
the,
we've seen
Till you hit
several
it.
issues, we're gonna address some in our big project in a year. So if you're coming out of Culver's, let's just say it's right here, it's
Yeah.
not right here. We've seen people that wanna turn left and they cut it and do that. That's very
That's,
dangerous.
well,
So what
that's
we're
quite
gonna
a
do
turn.
is we're recommending to run the median all the way down, so that you can't do that.
Mhm.
The easy way to get out of Culver's, and is the microphone off, I hope, is to turn right and then turn around in Tim's parking lot and go the
Yep.
other way.
Yeah. The other thing
Been there,
we're
done
seeing that the police have been seeing and
Second
pulling
catch
people
light.
over for is
That did that.
people
We did that
coming
the other night.
westbound, getting into the turn lane the wrong way,
Oh, yeah.
and then turning to get into 10.
Oh, really?
There's a sign that says, no turn, but it, that's
Right.
very dangerous, because if you're coming in
It
turning
is.
Culver's, someone's coming the wrong way. So we're not sure how to address that one.
It's an
signed
accident waiting to
properly,
happen.
So it's just,
Yep.
The answer to get into Tim's is go down to the next block and turn around and go the back way, not,
Right.
but everything's path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
And then the other big issue, probably our biggest, traffic really hasn't been bad, other than when you come up here and someone wants to turn left. First of all, they're not supposed to do that.
Is there a sign?
There's a sign coming.
Okay.
It's all, well, I don't know.
Well, at least there's a sign.
This will be solved when we put a median in there in the project, in about a year. But until then, there will be a sign up there, but there's not supposed to be any left turns. They're doing it anyways.
Can you put-
Workshop's not even made for you to do a left turn, but.
Can you put delineators in there too?
You could,
We
yeah.
might put, yeah, it might be something where we put delineators to stop that, because we've also had people that go from here, this is a right in, right out.
Yep.
But they're shooting across to the gas station too, so
Mhm.
people are crazy. But this is the one that causes the traffic backup. People stop there and try to go west. You're not supposed to.
Maybe have Public Works look into delineators.
Please do.
So, some of that, again, we fixed with our project next year. But, it's, NDOT's aware, we can contact them, we've had these discussions, and we'll see how we do this way.
I'll just add, because it's related to your question about La Peeps, Leo's Market has filed for a building permit to go inside the north building with a little market. So think the gas station without the gas.
Just say it.
I did.
The day.
Oh.
So you mentioned earlier, what is Rebar? You've mentioned it a couple
Well,
times.
Rebar is the developer of the initial phase one of McCordsville Square. So they were the developer. They partnered with Pride Rebar and financing.
Gotcha. And a couple meetings ago, you mentioned something about, I'm going to say it wrong, designer pizza or boutique pizza or some kind of, what? Where's that stand or where's that
We're
at?
waiting on Rebar to file, well, they actually already had the plans approved.
Yeah, they've been approved by the McCord Square Review Board, which basically handles all that. It's like town council.
That's going into the McCord Square area?
Yes,
Yeah, it'll be,
Separate building.
it'll be right by IU Health.
between IU Health and the first apartment building.
Is it
right?
someplace good?
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know, they call it boutique.
With a
It's
liquor
a-
license?
It's
Yes.
a local regional chain, not a big, huge chain, but decent sized. And yes, liquor license, yes.
Sounds like Greeks.
If it falls through, let me know. I know a great pizza place to bring here from Chicago.
So the good news, and actually I know the owner, and I've convinced him that he needs to be open on the weekends a little bit late because you'll get a lot of the football and basketball crowd from the
Yeah.
high school in there. So we really don't have that.
High
so.
schoolers that drink.
They'll go in there
hopefully
they'll go in there and
their
order pizza. They'll go in there and order pizza. I'll tell
Shannon,
that
you didn't
much.
hear that, did you?
That's for sure.
School board intervenes.
Okay, next we
School
got
board, they have their
the
meetings there.
2025 Legal Financial Advisor Services.
Just kind of a heads up, I'll probably have a proposal to you, so you notice our attorney's not here, I asked him not to be here at this time, so our town attorney is, going out on their own. So our current contract, with Taft is going to, terminate in February, probably, I think that's the timeline, so, that mean, and so that included the liaison to the Redevelopment Commission. We were struggling to get some stuff done anyway, some of the delay in the patch development was just communication issues there anyway. So we used Dennis Otten for our bond work, and we recommend just using him when we need, we don't always need an attorney here, but when we need legal work, a lot of times it's tied to a bond anyways, we could just use him on retainer for redevelopment work. That's not, Beth Copeland is our main attorney. The economic development side is really her forte, so she was fine. I've talked to her about this as well. We'll have a retainer with Taft, but it's for minimal, like specialized things, so I'll probably just get something from Dennis to say, hey, we need you to bill us hourly. Outside of that, we're rolling into your bond issues. I trust that you do a good job. And just kind of move forward that way. Same time, our financial advisor, Jennifer Hudson, who we love, took a good job and left. And so we're in the process, we're working between two new firms, trying to pick one sooner than later, to do our financial advisory work. So getting all the reports for the DLGF ready for Gateway, doing all our analysis of bond work, doing everything that's associated to keeping us in compliance with our bonds, everything like that. So
No, just to add, we actually have two financial advisors. We use Michael Reuter to provide us projections and on revenue and tax levies, and this is a different financial advisor.
correct. Reuter really focuses on the revenue side, which is unique actually, and does a wonderful job. And we re-upped him. This is the debt side, the expense side, policy side.
Yeah.
So we're close to making a decision on that, but we need to make one move forward. So we'll have a new FA, and then we'll keep some consistency with Dennis. So I'll get something for you. I just wanted to give you a heads up for that.
Good.
Okay, cool. All right, Greg.
Well, Tim stole my thunder on the Ready 2 grant, so I have nothing for you.
Everybody acts surprised when he says
We already
something.
asked all the questions, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything's already been covered. Maybe we ought to move this to the front of the agenda.
Makes your job easier.
No, you guys do a great job. So not much to report. February 1st, retreat.
Yep.
Is there, I forgot, do we have anything that any of them might want to attend on that? Or is that planning and zoning?
Probably was one thing, comprehensive fiscal analysis of the wastewater, study update.
Well, regardless, we have a town council retreat, February 1st. It'll be at the police station community room. Start at 8 a.m. You're more than welcome. There'll be an agenda. You guys are more than welcome to attend if you want, for however long you want. It's very informal. We'll kind of be talking about future of the town, what we see, those kind of things. We're talking about some of the development. So if you're really into it and you want to come for as long as you want, you're more than welcome.
Comp plan and zoning is the biggest
Yeah.
topic. Fiscal analysis, software that we're using for future utility investments.
I think the zoning thing might be for some, for you, Dale and Pete, maybe who are not as familiar, be good because if you're ever on, you guys probably aren't, but I do monitor the social media because I want to know what people are saying. And as Ruth and Shannon can attest, I'm on there like, and one of the biggest things you always get from people, they don't understand how zoning works. The fact that, listen, why are you allowing this in there? Well, we're not allowing it. They bought it. It's zoned for that. They're not asking for tax incentives. They're not asking for variances, those kind of things. So you kind of, it's like AutoZone that's going in. Town council, I'll even better. Crew Car Wash came in and Larry was on there. We didn't even know about it. Okay. They never came in front of the town council. They never asked for it. They were already zoned. Boom, before you know it, we got Valvoline and Crew. And the town's like, whoa, what's that? Ryan's like, oh, I forgot to tell you. That's going in, And it's like, oh, okay, great. Well, there's certain things that come in front of the town council that we have say on. There's certain things that come from you guys that you'll have say on, but most of the time, how that zoning and how we've got that set up, it is what it is. So, so I think sometimes when you're in serving these roles, and somebody goes, well, why did you guys? Well, you can give a better explanation, and so I think that'll be a good thing that we're going to be doing at our retreat.
Greg, when I first got interested in being involved in this, I talked to my sister, who's a mayor up in Minnesota, and she asked the question, how often or when's the last time our zoning had an overhaul or a review? Like, I know it's a state level thing, right? And it comes down to the county.
2025, that's what's happening in the comp plan.
So it's coming up now?
Yeah.
Didn't we do a zoning update like 2 years ago?
So we do an update annually, if not more often than that.
okay.
We just reviewed
But
that.
we have not done a complete overhaul in more than a decade, so we're overdue.
Eventually, you update enough times, it gets confusing with what's current and
Right,
what's
right.
old. So it got to a point where we're like, it's time to basically restate and just do a whole new zoning ordinance.
Gotcha.
Because in 2021.
We'll go down to scratch with it. We're not even going to take the old one as a baseline. It's going to be creation from scratch and updating a lot of things just to make it, in addition to updating standards, but make it more usable, user-friendly to the common person. That's gonna be one of the main goals. 'Cause ours is not. If you don't understand planning and zoning law, you're not gonna understand our zoning ordinance.
Right. And I probably will go do that, Greg, because I want to learn that. Can you look at individual applications, though, for zoning and change the rules when you're looking at one?
Not really. I mean, the way I explained it is, the way I explained it is, if someone comes in and files a project and it meets every aspect of the zoning ordinance, as a town, we are forced to approve it. We have no say. Now, if they can't meet an aspect of our zoning ordinance, all of a sudden, we hold a lot of cards.
Okay.
So they may want to go to the BZA and request a variance from a rule. They can do that. That's part of the process. We have the right to say no to it or to place additional conditions of approval on it.
We can't go above and beyond what state law says either. So, I mean, a lot of these somebody asked, a lot of this is state legislature where,
Yep.
We follow what the state legislature allows us to do when it comes to zoning. And, when your attorney says, if I go to court, I'm going to lose, you better just approve it. You go ahead and say it's approved, without fighting, so.
Very quickly, I'll just share, my business, of which I'm owner, we bought a building on East Washington Street. And they jumped through hoops on zoning to make us do a number of things because they want to change the way East Washington Street looks. We bought the old Elfish Furniture Building. But they listed 27 businesses that we can't have there because it's what's surrounded by it, and they want to change the complexion of East Washington.
Yep.
But what they want, we're not giving them. We end up doing this big negotiation. I agreed to some things that are all supposed to be done. We haven't done any of them, never heard a word from them. But they're trying to change the future, and clearly on that they discriminated per the owner because they were, again, trying to change it. So it's just an interesting process. I always wondered how that works.
I mean, a municipality can rezone a property. Like we could decide tomorrow to go rezone Greg's house, right? But if we do something that he views as taking
Bar and grill.
his value of his property away, so in your case, taking a land use away from you, that's what's generally referred to as a takings case. And I would be very nervous about the town doing something that could be construed as a takings. Because you don't have to take property to have a takings case. You take what's someone perceives as value from a property.
And that's what I think we're going to be talking about, zoning land use applications at the retreat.
Because I don't understand how you would keep out a Walmart, for example, but put in a Target, or keep out something less desirable and put in something more desirable based off of people's opinion.
It's
So,
really, really difficult to
I
do
bet.
that, but we should have some offline conversations.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely sit down with Ryan if you want to know more about that.
Appreciate
So, but yeah, but it is exciting because I think McCord Square is starting to come to. I think you guys are having a lot of fun the next couple of years because we're starting to see some activity there, and police station helping and get. I know we've approved one building, so hopefully if that gets constructed, the 9-star gets done. Footprint's going to start filling in quickly.
We'll have some updated information after Thursday.
Excellent.
I did receive some nice compliments from, regarding the signs, the street signs, and how well they're lit going into
Yeah.
the town center and how
Looks
nice that
beautiful.
looks. Yes,
Yes.
complimented you.
Yep.
Did you hear that, Tim?
That's a compliment.
Did you get
Take
that in the minutes?
Press the button, Ryan, don't you?
So yeah, February 1st, town police station community room.
I'll send something out there.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
I'll be in Florida, so I'm sorry.
Yep. A lot.
Okay.
You guys join it? You guys
Well,
tag.
we have no public, so they can't comment. Our next meeting will be February 4th at 6:30. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?